everyone for tonight's discussion on Talking Films Online. Talking Films Online, or TFO in short, is an informal coming together of academics, teachers, students, filmmakers, and cinephiles interested in cinema. More importantly, interested in talking and writing about cinema. The online group came together quite spontaneously during the pandemic and lockdown in June 2020. Dr. Geeta Vishwanath and I have been coordinating the activities of TFO since its inception. But we are ably supported in this by people like Sridhar Modugu, Paniraj, Ajanta Sarkar, Tarkeshwar VP, Yagnashri, Rasha, Madhurima, and a host of others who join the weekly discussions and enhance the quality of the discussion. So far, we have organized 199 online events. Actually, the poster for today's discussion said 199. My count was wrong. This is actually the 200th weekly discussion that we are organizing of a pre-decided film. We also have a few month-long film festivals and discussions. For instance, this year in January, we had a Farmers Film Festival. And in March, we had a series of discussions on Kumar Shahani's films as a way of paying tribute to him. Sometimes, as it has happened today, personnel from the film industry, such as directors, cinematographers, actors, even subtitlers, join our weekly discussions. Filmmakers often have made their films very generously available exclusively for TFO members to watch by sharing links to their film. And often they have joined the discussion. So we have had directors like Jayant Cherian, Girish Kasarvalli, Adur Gopal Krishnan, Aparna Sen, Anjali Montero, and Jay Shankar, Karan Bali, and Amol Palekar. Request all of you to please mute yourselves. Please mute yourselves. Thank you. During June this year, to mark the 4th anniversary of TFO, we had organized the 4th smartphone short film competition for students between 18 to 25 years of age. And we had organized a grand awards ceremony where the winners of the competition were announced. All this was online. Soon we are making preparations for organizing the first TFO International Seminar on Indian Cinema in the Digital Era, Continuities and Discontinuities, in collaboration with FCT Baroda on September 30th and October 1st this year. This will be our first offline event. So this is a face-to-face event that is going to happen in over a month's time this year. Our aim is to get a conversation going around cinema and to get as many people involved in the process as possible. With all our events being online, anyone and everyone interested in cinema is welcome to come to our forum. We have a blog called talkingfilmsonline.wordpress.com where we encourage all kinds of writing on cinema. We also have a YouTube channel where you can find some of the discussions that we have hosted on the channel. We are also on Facebook. TFO is a private group on Facebook, and there is a group on Instagram and on WhatsApp as well. This week's film happened when Sachin Dev, one of our research scholars in the department, put me in touch with the filmmaker Arun Bose. Arun is here with us. Arun is an Indian film director, screenwriter, editor, and producer. He made his directorial debut with the critically and commercially acclaimed film LUCA, which we have all just watched. Apparently, there are dubbed versions of this film as well, which are available. He has also produced, scripted, photographed, and directed an indie Tamil feature film, Alayim Tisai. His second Malayalam film, Mindiyum Paranyum, starring Unni Mukundan and Aparna Balamurali, is under post-production. His 1 minute short film, My Paper Boat, was the winner at the 1 Minute to Save the World film contest for UNO Copenhagen Climate Change Conference 2010, and it was awarded by an international jury. The short film was screened on a four-sided carbon cube screen kept in the middle of the Copenhagen Lake in Denmark for 7 days of the conference. Arun Bose has an MA in Communication from Madras Christian College, an Advanced Diploma in Multimedia, and an MA in Film Studies from Northumbria University, UK. He started as a program producer for New Media Television. He has worked in other trades. There are a host of other firms that he has been associated with. Along with his career in film, he regularly conducts film and media workshops at various schools and colleges. Currently, he is working as Faculty of Direction at LV Prasad Film Academy, Trivandrum. The discussion today on the film LUCA will be initiated by Dr. Anne Mary George. It's always a pleasure to have our students back on this forum. A very warm welcome, Anne. Dr. Anne Mary George is an assistant professor at VIT AP School of Social Sciences and Humanities at VIT AP University in Amravati, Andhra Pradesh. She earned her PhD in film studies and visual culture from EFL University, Hyderabad. Her doctoral thesis focused on stardom and production in Malayalam cinema. So hopefully she'll bring in that perspective today into the discussion. Dr. George has delivered lectures at various prestigious institutions across India. Her research interests encompass film studies, fan studies, star studies, popular culture, and Malayalam cinema. Very warm welcome to you, Arun, today. Thanks very much for making available your wonderful film for TFO. Warm welcome to you, Anne, as well, and over to you, Anne.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nikita, for such a lovely introduction. I'm not sure if I can actually do justice to the discussion. Now that I'm here and I'm in front of Arun, I kind of feel a little nervous. So, it's also like, like talking to someone and talking about someone's work to them. So I'll just try and talk about my thoughts maybe when I was watching this film. So while I was talking about what has been my interest, that is star studies, but recently something that I've been also looking at is the idea of rains in Malayalam cinema, and especially post 2018. And I'm focusing on the disaster films, and that was what my focus was. But it was while I was watching LUCA. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear.
And I'm sorry if there's some disturbance in the background. There's a function at home.
No. I can hear properly. No.
Okay, that's fine. Okay. So yeah, so while I was watching this film, the idea of rain, the thought of rain was something that again came back to me, because there is rain is a constant character, especially in the present, and the way rain is used. And something that I thought I'll also ask you, not now, maybe later when we open up our discussion. I really want to know what were your thought processes when it was this film shot during the floods or after the floods. And because as Malayalis, for a long time, for us, rain was something that is very romantic, something that we always talked about in nostalgia, romance. And here we always see rain as something that is, we are, there is always a sense of sadness, because you have Akbar throughout, and then there is always rain. Even when his cat dies, you're burying him in the rain. So this entire idea of rain being very
I can talk about.
yeah. So rain is something that the way you use rain was very interesting for me when I was watching the film. That is one of the first things, rather than anything else, that I looked at. And this idea of 4 or 5 characters between the past and the present, 2 couples, and one couple that has a person who is a shadow of a lingering romance in the past. And these are things that most of us would, in a way, connect to, the idea of moving on. And something that, again, maybe I'm not going in a very structured way,
No, please.
but
Whatever.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, I was looking at the film, there are a lot of things that come. It's like a constant onslaught. So a few things that, again, that comes with this relationship between these two characters is how you have two broken individuals in a way.
Yes.
They're coming in, and there is an instant connection that brings forms between these two. And this is something that also was reminiscent of what we would have friendships that we begin in our early 20s. Now that we're in the 30s, it may not connect that instantly, but in our early 20s, where we meet people and we find this instant connection, where we may not really know the person well, but we feel something to that person, and then and slowly that suddenly becomes a lifelong of friendship. And that's how these two people meet. So that meet cute also, in a way, is something that many of us who come from these spaces could relate to, where we would take a lot of things personally, or we would not. And then how these two individuals slowly, understand the trauma that each is carrying, and how they both evolve in the relationship. Uh, so that is something very interesting to look at. I also kind of felt that, Akbar's story as to what exactly happened, to some extent, kind of, I felt was a little incomplete for me. For me, as someone who always looks for closure, there's a
Yeah.
lack of closure for me, and that was something that troubled me a bit.
You're talking about the past of Akbar, isn't it?
Yeah, the past of it.
Yeah.
Because when I was watching it, I thought, we would find kind of maybe
I,
he,
I have reason for that also.
yeah, so maybe you could discuss that particular
Yeah.
reason as to why, you left us, or at least left me hanging when I was watching the film.
Actually,
Another,
that's a question I heard the most in all these 5 years. Maybe that's why. I mean, I have an answer for that. We can come to that later.
okay. Uh, so few other things that I was also uh, thinking of when we were watching this film, and this is not something that I always have an issue with, is the idea of a artist who is well off, and he has the privilege to explore his artistic exploration. And it's not really a problem, it's something, but I find so I think this started off with Charlie for me,
Oh,
where
yeah.
you have this character who stays in Fort Kochi, has a completely happy, full life. So, which I, as a woman who stayed alone in a city, could not really resonate, because it's very romantic in a way, but someone who stayed alone also has a lot of other issues that would come up with it. And then here you have another character who, again, this is something that we would all want. He has his problems, but the financial stability, the kind of space that he has, and the privilege that he has to say that he's an open book, is something that. And then you have Niharika on the other hand, who also comes from privilege, but then she also has an issues that she doesn't really want to disclose. So how these two characters, the idea of, and this is something that keeps on coming up, the idea of an open book, and the kind of, and when she decides to finally open up to him, and what that does to him is also another thing. So how do you kind of work with the idea of openness? How open can you be? And you know her opening up can become fatalist, it's fatal to him in certain ways.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's,
So shall I start from your first thing?
yeah,
First, think about first. First of all, I'm very happy to be here interacting with a lot of people I can see. I haven't seen the faces though, but I feel somehow feel like connect because I started my love for cinema. Maybe I can confidently say that my journey of cinema started in Hyderabad because I was doing my graduation in BSc Computer Science in Hyderabad. That was in 2003, and I just walked into a computer center, CMC Computers, and they suggested me a course in multimedia. So then I walked into Arena Multimedia in Narayanpur and started learning editing there. In fact, I did my advanced diploma in multimedia there in Hyderabad, which taught me editing, and there I started my career. So I'm really happy to, and this is after a very long time I'm interacting. Haven't been to Hyderabad afterwards, so it's a pleasure. Okay, now coming to the film, the first aspect regarding the reign of Luca. If you see Luca in a linear way, not a linear, a non-linear way, Luca starts in a summer. It can start in a summer. So the film actually depicts two seasons. It also represents the characteristics of two couples also. The first reign of Luca starts the moment Luca and Niharika separates. So if you see it in a linear way, Luca and Niharika's romance happens in a summertime. And I really wanted to, this was a deliberate decision. Like I really wanted to portray it like in fact, with my cinematographer and art director, what I suggested that I really wanted to, since it's Luca is an artist character, I really wanted to play like a Van Gogh painting. Okay, and the color tone we followed was turquoise blue and yellow most of the frames. And it was not only just Van Gogh paintings, it was a artist named Justin Jaffrey, which I came across in Instagram, where he used embossed paintings, where it is not like painting with brushes. He actually pastes the paints. So it's like very embossed sort of Van Gogh work. This was the inspiration for my Luca Niharika setting altogether. And the honest decision about Luca and Niharika's characteristics. I mean, the couple's chemistry was, I wanted life and enthusiasm all over. Every single frame has something fluttering in the background. And in the edit, there was not many cuts also. It's like single long shots. Most of the scenes are like single long shots where uninterrupted performance. So the keywords we used like energy and enthusiasm should be there in there. Though their characters has a very darker past and which they have a conflict, but I wanted the romance to be like a very flowery romance, and it should play like wind. So every frame has something moving around in the backdrop. Either it's wind or every cinematography say uninterrupted long shots without much cuts and all that. In contrast to that, the first rain happens when Luca and Niharika separates, and Luca's death happens in. Since then onwards, it's heavy rains. It's monsoons. If you know the climatic condition here in Kerala, right? So I really wanted the second couple, Akbar and Fatima's. They are undergoing a divorce case at the moment, and Fatima didn't want it in heart, but then she knows that something is haunting Akbar. So the keywords which we play with in the Akbar Fatima segment is boredom and numbness. So the rain represents the chill, numbness in their life, and we use the painting. We use the reference of paintings of Rembrandt. If you look at the cinematography of those sequences, it is the traditional track and trolley movements, traditional static shots with perfect continuity cuts and all that. So it represents a sort of numbness to the whole episode of Akbar and Fatima, which is again a very deliberate choice. So in Luca, if you ask me what role rain play is, rain represents it is not the rain alone. It is the summer also playing equal importance in the film. So throughout Akbar Fatima segments, rain stays as a curtain all over, creating that cold, numb atmosphere in their love life. If you look at carefully, the last scene where Akbar and Fatima come together has the tone of Luca and Niharika. And it is the same place where Luca and Niharika had their first coffee together. We shot in the same location and at the same place, where we use the same turquoise blue theme of like a Van Gogh painting for Akbar and Fatima segment. And there is no rain there. It's a very pleasant, beautiful summery tone. It's a very deliberate choice. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. So this is wondering also, like, were you also inspired by, because the other rains in cinema, and right now when you're talking about Malayalam cinema, there are very few Malayalam cinema that does not have rain, right? And
We
because it's
use
part
we
of us. It's part of our,
it's so much a part of our cultural being also. Like, I mean, we have two monsoons, two long monsoons in fact, and we
yeah.
are so used to the floods here. So
Yes.
rain is so much a part of our routine life. And now, I mean, just a week back, the place where I am living, it was flooded down. So yeah, I live in Cochin, in the middle of Cochin city, Edapalli area, which was because of the rain, it was flooded. And you know what is happening in Wayanad at the moment?
Yeah.
The landslides and all. In fact, my second film, Mindim Paranjum, rain is a character. Rain is the villain in the film.
Okay.
It's a short story. It's a O. Henry. It's a film based on O. Henry short story. But then I set in a place where a Kerala scape, a typical Kerala scape. It's a much simpler film, much more realistic film compared to Luca, where I have rain throughout the film as a villain in between the couple. So
Yeah.
because
Forward to that.
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
Arun.
so let me open out the discussion a little bit so that people can share their responses to the film. So while I was watching the film, to me, there is, I don't know, how to put it, but it seemed to proceed along two genres which don't often, come together very easily. One is the romance,
Romance.
which is very much a part of the film. The other is the question, like a whodunit. So, how did Luca die? So, an explanation. So, the movie is a quest in some ways for a kind of explanation as to how he died. And interwoven, there is one more layer to it, and that is that the investigating officer is not just a nameless, impersonal character. So he's personalized, his conflicts are personalized. We know his back story. So there is a certain kind of so the investigation in some ways and the answer that he finds, the resolution that he finds in some ways is also an answer to the quest in his own life, his own personal quest. So in a sense, structurally, it is very neatly done. The quest that he is on, and as he is reading it, we see it getting visualized on the screen. So a lot of it is, you're moving in terms of time. We're going back and forth. You have a number of flashback sequences to interweave both the police investigating officer's story as well as Luca's story. So that intermingling is very well done. I mean, nothing like like experimental indie cinema, which kind of confuses us and then gives us a kind of resolution which was not expected. So in a way, this one allows us to see what was what is going on, and Yeah, so my two responses to the film. One was in terms of, like for instance, the artist as a character. So it allows you to have, at some level, allows you to have him as, like an orphan. So he has nobody, but he's also very colorful and magnetic as a persona. So a few studies on, particularly on Hindi cinema, have talked about. I don't know if Anne is familiar, particularly with regard to stars. Why do stars? Why do films in which stars have play prominent characters? Why are those characters, often orphaned? So is it a way of kind of creating a sympathy? So we own up as we watch the film. I don't know. So is that what is also happening in this film? So here is someone who has nobody. So we kind of own him. So I was just thinking along those lines. The second aspect that I was thinking of, is the track about the policeman. I mean, there are a whole host of Malayalam films, I think, where the policeman, as an investigating officer, also has a, I mean, there is a kind of humanization of this figure, his conflicts with his superiors, his family problems, all that. In this film, the police hierarchy is, I mean, I felt there is no hierarchy over here. So they all looked, very, very much involved in each other's lives. Everyone knows what is happening in the intimate details, that somebody is going through a divorce, and this is the reason why they are going through a divorce. So I was just curious, not that police cannot be, I was just curious as to why there was nothing in terms of the conflict, that the system kind of breeds. So I was just struck by these two aspects in your film. But thanks very much. When we say we'll discuss a Malayalam film on TFO, we know that it will be a complex film. So thanks for
It is
confirming.
actually a very complex film for me to narrate after finishing the script. It was the 15th draft we shot. Because we finished the first draft in 2014, 2012 in fact. And we discussed the script with Tovino in 2014 when he was not even a star. So we wanted a right face for the film, and that is when I met Tovino and discussed with him. And the first thing regarding the LUCA's orphan status or LUCA's conditions. See, I am an artist myself. I paint, I draw. Recently, I had an exhibition also here. So that is one connection. Somewhere you are connected to your character. I'm not an orphan though, but then the kind of artistic side came from probably my own personal experience. The Lucas condition of necrophobia and thanatophobia came to me through another similar episode of my life, where I was living in UK while doing my master's in film studies. I was working with this arts organization called Stimstone Arts, where I work with youngsters with dyslexia, autism, bipolar disorder, school, college dropouts, and the objective was to use cinema as a tool to bring them to mainstream. So in UK, not only in UK, and all these Scandinavian countries, art is used as a mode of bringing, Trinity College supported it with a funding. There is an arts award where bronze, silver, and platinum awards, gold and platinum awards for arts, such youngsters to comes to mainstream, and they use art as a medium. This is a thing which influenced me a lot, and I wanted to use that concept in the character of Luca, where Luca is fighting a condition called necrophobia, where he has a fear of death. I don't know, no actors might not take a character like this honestly, I was thankful to Tovino for taking it, because he's very weak and timid in the whole film. So like, and then, yeah, it was his mentor Shivan who taught him art, through which he fought his condition. So this aspect of fighting your condition, fighting your situations with art, evolved from that. But then using Luca as Luca is from a very well-off family in Fort Cochin. I didn't want to use him like exactly like a very, I mean, the struggling artist, nothing like that. He's a scrap artist again. The entire art of Luca was done with scrap. With my art director, we had a deliberate choice. We decided and we discussed many times, and then this concept of scrap art came, and our art director Anis Adodi visited all the scrapyards in and around Cochin and collected the scrap, and the entire artwork was done with scrap. This has another philosophy to it, which is a man who faces a condition like necrophobia, face of death, creates life from art, thrown away objects or like worn out objects, like dead objects. So he's creating phoenix out of scrap. So this idea came to us, and that's a deliberate decision again of using. And I didn't want to use. To Tobino, I gave the reference of Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey is a real life artist now. He was fighting a condition of depression. So there was some documentary of Jim Carrey doing art, which I gave to Tovino as a reference again. So all these sum up together to bring in the character of Luca. And Akbar's situation, I wanted the policeman to be really human, not like the superhuman police officers you find everywhere. Again, my film starts with the hero dying. I mean, every character is human. They all faces their own traumas. They have their own agonies, and they have their own challenges. So all this, I mean, we work as a team here. The police, they are also working as a team to solve something. They have personal relationships. They have families. They bond. They gel. So each of these characters have their own. In fact, the subordinate of Akbar, the other police officer, he has his own, and he is the one who slaps the villain in the film. It's not Akbar who goes and slaps the villain, but he has a daughter, so he has a bonding. He's the one who get really irritated about it, and Akbar like stops him. So I wanted all the character to be really human. In fact, if you look at the villain, also has a very the antagonist of my film, where Niharika's uncle also has a somewhere you find a human side. He has his own traumas. So we meet people on our daily. I was being a documentary filmmaker before before getting into serious feature filmmaking, narrative filmmaking. So I traveled across India. I mean, all these characters somewhere evolves from my personal experience of meeting people. Yeah, so this is my answer to all that.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's not like we are going to ask you lots of questions. We are going to share our
Responses, all right.
yeah, to your film. I think all of us, have watched the film and have very much enjoyed it. Anyone who now wants to come in? Yes, Geeta, please go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, I enjoyed the film. It's a very engaging film, and I would say it is also a film that is very demanding on the spectator, because you have these multiple plots with each of those characters and their backstories and all that. So at one point you begin to wonder, whose story this is.
Yeah.
So that constant, change of point of view, the focalization shifting from one to the other. And what I found really interesting in the film is the use of the diary the diary becomes a mode through which he's actually piecing together his investigation and coming to a conclusion. So this idea of the written word as almost, sacrosanct, that I thought was interesting. And of course, it's also problematic because a diary, again, is a very personal, intimate form of writing. And at the same time, it's also something that is personally constructed. When you write a diary, you are writing something, you're writing it perhaps with that fear that someday somebody will read it as well. And that comes up in the film also when, Niharika, is a little upset that her diary was looked into by by LUCA. Yeah. So all these, dynamics of writing and the diary as a mode, not only as self-expression, but after her death, it becomes an aid in investigation. So I thought that was a very interesting device that you used.
And that's a killer also.
Yes, exactly. That is that is what actually kills him as well.
So,
Yeah, could have
Anna,
also killed Akbar. Yeah, please go ahead, and yeah.
so I was talking with the same thing, the idea of, the open book. And we always see as Luca's character being called the open book. But when you look at the film, you never meet Luca directly. You only meet Luca through others' narrative. It's always
Actually,
someone else talking about Luca. You also,
actually, in a way, if you look at it, I used to tell my students when in film school, like Luca and Niharika is only the imagination of Akbar. Maybe Luca and Niharika is different. So it is the way Akbar visualized Luca and Niharika through the diary. So that is another thing. And the whole script of Luca actually started from a book because I found a book while walking around, on the road, again in a scrapyard, and I got it was it's a second-hand book which I saw on the road, and I had a conversation with a friend of mine regarding there. Since it's a second-hand book, it has a story. It passed through different hands. So if somebody kept a letter in that book, and if we get it and we follow that letter, that becomes a story by itself. So such conversations evolved into a situation where we thought, what if the book's pages were poisoned, and if we have the habit of reading it the way Luca reads the book? So it becomes like a slow poison. This was the first thought of Luca. Before becoming a sweet romantic film, the idea was the investigation. The thriller element came up first.
Yeah, usually when it's a thriller plot, the romance is like almost like a byproduct, like in Mani
That is,
Chitra and all. So it's
yeah,
like, okay, just one of the things in the side that keeps happening. But here, it's almost as if the investigation is the red herring. The film is
yes,
actually
that's
the
right.
romance, whereas
Romance,
the
yes.
investigation is actually something that is it's more a mode of reconstructing this romance.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Anyone else who wants to come in now, please unmute yourself so I know you want to speak. Rasha, Madhurima.
Yeah, I just have one or two comments, but no questions as such. It was such a wonderfully constructed film. So I was thinking about the plot, the way you have constructed the plot, how there are like two main narratives. which are apparently non-linear, but how you have put them in sort of an apparently linear way in the film, and how they interact with each other. And I also like the ending because you have kept the ending somewhat open-ended, because although there is a suggestiveness that there might be some sort of understanding between Akbar and his wife, but there is nothing concrete to say about it. That was really nice for me. And the other thing is the way you have right now discussed about your deployment of the two weathers, summer and the rains. That was also really interesting, because in the Bollywood films, or in the more popular films that I usually watch, Bengali and Bollywood films, their rain is usually associated with the romance. Here you have used it as breakup and summer as romance. So that was also something new for me. And thank you, ma'am, for introducing us to the film and for initiating the discussion. And thank you, sir. Yeah, I really enjoyed the
Thank you,
film.
Madhurima.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else who wants to comment now?
Actually, there are a lot of things, the more you think about the film, the more things come up. Another
Please
thing,
go ahead, Anne. Please go ahead. Yeah.
the other thing that even Madhurima was talking about towards the end, where you have Akbar and Fatima sitting, and then Fatima takes out the photo and she folds the photograph.
Yes. Yes.
And there is a lot of reference to photograph otherwise also, where you have Luca's father who was a photographer. Not
Yeah.
father, his mother was a photographer, and there
Yeah.
are framed photos on the wall.
Yeah.
And then they talk about how, photographs are the way of preserving memories.
Yes.
And that is what Akbar is also doing with the
Yes.
photograph. And then you
Yes.
have the
Yes.
photograph kind of holding. So that again, so there are, if you actually look at the film, there are many layers. It's not something that can be done in one thing.
The characters'
Another
memories.
thing,
Yeah. Sorry. Can.
yeah, no, I'm just saying. So there are so many layers to it. Another thing someone else also mentioned was about relationships, where you have this junior officer slapping her uncle. And again, you would always see that the only person who's blood related here is someone who's harming, and everyone else around Luca are not really related to him by blood, but they protect him as their own. The policeman has adopted a daughter. He protects her as her own. So
Yes.
you always see this idea of that, the idea of relationships again is not something that it's not something that is defined by blood. And there was also something that I thought was interesting, where you have Luca who's suffering from necrophilia, and
Necrophobia.
yeah,
Fanatic.
and
Yes.
the moment you have this Amachi who falls into the well, she jumps into the well, and that is a very near death experience. He experiences death, and Niharika is worried about him, but then he puts up aside his phobia for them, and he says yes to do something. And then he also meets with an accident, which would have been very scary for a person like that. But he does that for people who he thinks are
In need. Yes.
family of sorts.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I want to answer one question you asked earlier, which again connect to this. Like, why Akbar's past was kept incomplete? Like Akbar's, we showed only in that one song. In that one song, I've tried to show their entire romantic relationship, the whole journey of Akbar and Janet. See, the answer to it is there in the film itself. Like when the senior officer asks Akbar to forget your past, what is haunting you? Akbar says, it's not, it's not just she left me that it is haunting me, but I don't know why she left me.
Mm.
So in many romances, I have felt, and I've realized this, that a lot of people consider themselves as victims
Mm.
for somebody at the partners. I mean the partner leaving. So I wanted to keep it like an open-ended thing again. I mean, it connects to a lot of Romeos in a way. Like, how the Juliet left without telling me the reason. And this is exactly, I can tell you, Luca was released in 2018. Now it's 2024. In these many years, at least once in 2-3 weeks, I'll get this question in my Instagram page. What happened to Janet? So films, when it becomes a lot of questions when you leave unanswered, I think it lives. That curiosity remains forever, and that it creates an element of it lives long. I can say more than just say. If you ask the example of Kauravar, Malayalam film, Mammootty film Kauravar. If you ask me, Mammootty plays a Naxal character, and the police officer has Vishnuvardhan plays a police officer, right? So Mammootty's daughter in the riot, the entire family dies, and he loses his daughter. But Vishnuvardhan says that he has 4 daughters, and one among them is Mammootty's daughter. And even in the end of the film, it's not revealed that who is the right daughter. And Mammootty adopts all the 4 kids. So in my childhood, I still remember me and my sister, while traveling back from the theater, we were kids. We were fighting with each other, saying that girl looked like Mammootty's daughter, so she should be the Mammootty's daughter. So such open-ended things will remain forever. Even now, it's good to leave certain questions unanswered, so that gives more longevity for the film.
So while you were talking about this thing, it's something just came back to me from the film. That's when the cat dies, and the
Yes.
maid tells Fatima, the cat died, and she says, it must have gotten tired. And it kind of would also say that he was also stifling the cat to an extent that the cat also wanted to get
It
away
also
from.
reflects Fatima's character. She's also tired.
She's also tired.
She's
So
also
there's
tired.
also that, that she also wants to let go finally. She's
Yeah,
tried
yeah.
to make this relationship work,
True.
but that is not working. So yeah.
Okay. Anyone else who wants to come in now? Yagnashri, yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, good evening, madam. Sir, thank you so much for sharing the movie. It was really wonderful.
Thank you.
It's not a question, just I felt it, I want to share. See, almost all the 4 characters have memories that constantly haunt them, and that doesn't allow them to have a peaceful present. Is there any specific reason for portraying memory in such a negative way here? I mean, do you have any personal kind of view about it? And that's one thing. And when Madhurima was speaking about end, I was also thinking about it. The words that we get at that time, like what is that, 1,000 darkness, something. But what we find in visual is a bit different. Do you have anything to share? Thank you, sir.
So I did get the second question, but I can answer the first one.
Yeah.
Memories. See, very recently I was talking to another veteran filmmaker here in Malayalam, and he said, I don't. I mean, I get a lot of appreciation for my films, and half of the time I don't remember such appreciations after a while. But then I still remember somebody who hurt me in my 5th standard. So some memories are like that. Like if you are hurt, it remains more. I mean, wounds remains much more powerful in your. Wounds remains as a more powerful memory than happiness in most of the cases.
Yeah.
So that was the answer to it in a very simple way. So, but then I have definitely a lot of good memories. I carry a lot of great, fantastic memories, especially in my travel ages as being a gypsy more than. So for LUCA, I preferred the film has a sense of the film is deeply emotional from beginning till the end. So I want to keep that emotional aspect of the film in a little high with every single audiovisual element supporting to it. So I preferred a narrative that way, which is totally different from the last film which I did, which is like the Friends series in English. It's more fun all over. So yeah, with genres you work differently.
Yeah.
But I didn't get your second question. I was a little
Yeah,
confused.
that's it. While concluding means by the end of the movie, the song that plays there has a kind of a negative this thing means thousands of darkness, something like
Okay.
and a thunderstorm. But what we find in visual is a
Okay,
very
okay.
pleasant kind of his getting into his
Yeah,
last moments. So that's what I
yeah, got
wanted.
it. Oh,
Yeah.
the trouble is when you translate it. In Malayalam, it's Dure or Airam Irul. It's like
Yeah, in Airam Irul. Yeah,
Arul,
yeah.
and you have the visual. It actually represents the Lucas conditions. Then he's surround. He sees so much of darkness there. I mean, it is poison in his way. That song was that sequence was titled "Poison in the Veins." So my music director created music for. I was surprised. How did he created that? I was like shocked. How can you create music for some like poison entering into your veins? So, so Suraj. I was very thankful to my music director for that magic, and I was stunned by it. So that sequence represent the I mean his vision is blurring because he has poison in his veins. So we see a visual, but Luca is not seeing the visual.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he sees the darkness there.
Yeah.
So audience, what we are seeing it as a visual. That's a whole contradicting statement.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and I also think like Yagneshri, you are really, the film is really talking about the pathology of memory. So at some point, I think even Fatima says it's not, it's not healthy to hold on. So memory is what is leading to phobia, to disease. So in some ways, if one has to also think of memory as pathological, not necessarily always as positive, nurturing, and so on. So it's quite interesting. I agree with you, Yagneshri.
Thank you, Yagneshri. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Any other point, Sanjay, Tarakeshwar, anyone who wants to come in at this point? Yeah, please go ahead, Tarakeshwar.
Yeah, thank you, Ann. Thank you, Arun, for the movie.
Thank you.
Initially, I thought it slightly dragged because there are two things and they were going, and then there was no resolution immediately at the end. But at the end, again, everything falls into place. In that sense, you get that kind of okay, now I got the narrative kind of feeling. Apart from that, I think the issue that was interesting for me was two. One is about the philosophy of death itself.
Yeah.
Looking at death as a negative, and here death becomes a kind of love. Handing over death to somebody whom you love was a kind of philosophy that I thought quite interesting. Though it is woven into, as Nikhil was saying, into two genres, who done it and then the romance. I think this philosophy and these musings on that, I thought is the new take on it. Rather than looking at it as a kind of crime, you look at it as a kind of love. The entire narrative moves in that direction. And the second point was not just about this film. I was thinking about this figure of the artist. I think is the third film or so that I have seen in Malayalam, where the artist come in a major way in the last 10 years or so. One was the two struggling artists. They are in love. They take a rented house and that kind of struggle that they had. And the other one was going to Bombay, and then he's a paintist again, is slightly standoffish, and then there's the third one. So this, in all the three, I think the artist comes out as a kind of a romantic notion of artist is being invoked in Malayalam. Artist as somebody who is different from the other human beings around them. I was wondering why this the figure of the romantic artist who is different from the other human beings is being invoked in the Malayalam context now in the last 10 years. It has nothing to do with your film per se, but generally I was thinking aloud. Thank you.
Actually, as Dr. Anne also mentioned earlier, the film Charlie represented Dulquer in a certain way, Dulquer Salman, which I agree to your point also. But I was surprised because the thought of this artist I had in mind even before Charlie. So when Charlie came up, me and my co-writer, we were shocked because we had this representation much before that, and somewhere Charlie had a lot of similarities in the visual structure to Luca. So, but then this was something which we thought earlier also. But I agree to your point. We Malayalis started maybe for past 10 years, 10, 15 years, 10 years. Yeah, we have certain representations of artists. It worked well for my film, Luca, for this narrative, which might not be the same representation another film in a different genre. So yeah, I think I should also try exploring different artists.
I also think it's also to do with the entire art scene in Kerala that has been changed.
Yeah, because suddenly when after Binale, I think after Kochi Binale, the representations, all these romantic representations started coming up in a. Before that, if you look at before Binale, we always had a certain we always had this gloomy artist all the time on screen, like a drunkard, and a dreamer, drunkard, and always unsuccessful in his life. That was the representation of all the artists before this Binale scenario. But then after this Cochin Binale became so popular, we are so familiar with this gypsy artist who travel around and make like I set the whole Luca in Fort Kochi itself, where Binale happens. So, in fact, I had this question from many people whether I've shot during Binale, but I didn't shoot not even a single scene during Binale. The whole art setup was done for the film. It was not Binale. So yeah, we started romanticizing with these artists who come from Binale, which could be one reason where I also had this. And for a film like Luca, throughout the film there is a very dark, emotional, negative angle to it. So I didn't want the protagonist also. I mean, the representation also should. Then it becomes quite a dull. Could have been a little more dull to watch. Film, yeah.
Yeah, even I thought Binale might have something to do with it.
Yes,
because
yes.
it seems to have caught the imagination of the Malayalam cultural world, and also the kind of shift that's it. Because my experience of Malayalam movies is very limited, but in spite of that, what I could see is that the earlier the artists and writers were represented, but they were always represented as part of a movement, the left movement.
Yeah, true.
Not in terms of kind of maverick who roam around and things like that. So this shift from the left to a kind of more philosophical rumination of the artist, I thought is quite interesting, and one can look at this figure of the artist in the Malayalam and the kind of shift it has taken in the last decade or so. It's worth studying, I thought.
I think I should register for my PhD there.
I didn't get you.
I said I should register for my research there on
Okay.
this.
Another thing is this is also the figure of the not the writer, the figure of somebody who has done MA English, either from JNU or from Hyderabad, seems to have also been represented on screen now
Yeah.
in Malayalam.
Yeah.
So they refer to these things, and then the new kind of identity discourses coming through them is also quite interesting, I thought.
It is. It is. Yes. Yes. True.
In fact, one of the artist films that we watched had someone trained in MS University, Baroda, in School of Fine Arts. Geeta, you will be interested to know this. I don't remember the name of the film. Again, it was one of
Oh.
those artist films with an artist trained from MSU.
Okay. Did we discuss it on TFO?
No, we
No.
haven't
Oh,
discussed
okay.
it.
Okay.
But again, one of those Malayalam films with an artist
Okay.
trained. Yeah. Anyone else?
Yeah, this is Sanjay.
Yes,
Hi,
please go
Sanjay.
ahead.
Hi.
Hi. Yeah, obviously I like this film a lot, and there are several layers, and some of them are already discussed. There is one point, just trying to take further that discussion which Geeta had started on this diary, that some thoughts came to me when she was discussing the diary. So I look it at as the interface between literature and life. That how, I look at this person, the police inspector, as someone who is reading a text. And what does it do to his own life? Why I call it interface, in the sense there is a dialectics here, that what reading does to his own life, and when he lives his life, and while he's talking to his wife, actually he gets the clue of the death. So he understands the text in a sense that when he is living, and he gets some clues to understand the text which he is reading, and when he is reading, he gets some clues to understand the life. So this life life literature interface is wonderful in this film. I find that basically this police inspector as a reader, as
Yes. Yes.
that reader, and reading as a kinetic art, that at particular point of time, reading as a kinetic art, as Stanley Fish uses this expression, that when you are reading a text, you are at a particular point of time, and your understanding of the text, it is up to that level. And when you move further, when you read further, it keeps on evolving. You keep on revising your understanding also. So this is what happens in this film, that reader here is like a detective. So he's trying to understand, okay, how this hero was killed. And that also is giving some clues to understand his own life, his relationship with his wife. And I think because of reading of this diary only, that he is able to understand better his own life. And when finally that photograph is removed from the wallet, and the wife, she
in the
puts
coffee
it in
cup.
the coffee cup. So it's like, forget your traumatic memory. That's the only way you can keep on living. So this reader as a detective, that who is piecing together several pieces of information, several, and also at the same time he is living. He is a reader, but he also lives. And then it's like trying to understand, trying to find a solution to this puzzle. So, and that was one point, that this police inspector as a reader of this diary, what it does to the plot of the film. And when we were discussing about the memory, then normally, like, there are some of the writers who believe that that the emotional memory is more powerful than the intellectual memory.
Yeah.
And also because our childhood experiences are more, they are close to our life, because the level of intensity is more when we think about our childhood rather than the immediate past. So this is what happens in this film, and because of that, another point related to the memory is that we, sometimes memory is glorified too much, and we think that those who even madness is associated with the loss of memory. It is said that those who go mad, they lose memory, but actually forgetfulness is a very important part of our life. If we can't forget, then sometimes it becomes very difficult to live.
Yeah.
So this is what it happens in this film, that sometimes you have to forget, you have to learn to forget.
Yeah.
Only memory is not important, but forgetfulness is also important. And finally, that point the Tarakeshwar raised as learning to die, which it reminded me of Montaigne's essay, that to philosophize is to learn to die. So finally, this girl understands that that is how, because the hero has to actually face death, just and uh, and she loves this person, and she tries to um, um, minimize his suffering, so that anyway everybody has to die, and he also has to die, but let us try to minimize the suffering. So that is, as Tarakeshwar already said, that it is presented in a positive light, not just as something as negative. So these are the points I wanted to discuss. Thank you very much for this wonderful film.
Thank you, Sanjay. It was such a pleasure to hear the observations. Thank you. Yeah.
When
Actually,
Sanjay-
the film is, in a way, I find the film is about two heroines, more than two heroes. The heroic action, though LUCA is a victim, Akbar is the investigator in the film. But then Niharika is the reason. She's the killer, and it is Fatima who finds it. So yeah,
So while Sanjay was also talking about memories, so there's a sequence where Niharika is talking about, her uncle taking her out for a walk.
yeah,
So that particular scene is also something that kind of reminded me of how memory could be distorted, because we are told that Niharika is brought up in Bangalore.
yeah,
And she says that, when her uncle takes her out for a walk, she's hesitant at first, and then she thinks it's going to be a street where there'll be people and that she'll be fine on a street. And then her uncle takes her to a meadow. So the idea of a meadow in Bangalore is something that when I was watching that film is something unimaginable. So I also thought that, it's her mind making her that setting, that, that becomes a space which is open, and where her uncle is apologizing to her. It's just not a closed room where the apology takes place. So maybe that's her mind playing that memory or distorting that memory of the apology. And there are many other scenes where, the idea of memory or where people think about it,
yeah.
the past could be different. And the same thing about the entire Luca Niharika thing, because we are only thinking of it through the diary and what others are telling us, or what Niharika is telling us. So that is again memories. So we're not really sure of what really happens between the two.
That's exactly what I said. In a way, as Sanjay said, it's not only Luca's diary. Any book, the reader is an investigator. He's always in the mood to find solutions. So that's very common to any reader and any book. Here, Akbar is reading a diary. The whole film is actually Akbar's imagination, other than the Akbar episode. That's why I put Akbar's sequence in a very realistic way, and Lucas' sequence has a very imaginative style. So even after the investigation, whatever Akbar's thinking is Akbar's imagination. So maybe that meadow could be a different place, and this is something which Akbar imagined. Yeah. So yeah. Yes.
Okay. Anyone else? Any other points? Okay. And anything else?
No, nothing, ma'am.
Okay. So, in which case, I think we've had a wonderful discussion. Arun, thank you so much for making available the film to us and also joining us and giving us your time this evening for the discussion. And thanks so much for agreeing to talk about the film. Thank you, everyone, for joining the discussion tonight. Next Saturday, we'll meet again on TFO at 9 p.m. With another film and another discussion. So do join us. We are on WhatsApp. So if you want to be added to the WhatsApp group, please let us know. WhatsApp group or Facebook group, please let us know. Thank you all and have a very good night. Thank you.
Thank you, Arun. Thank you, Anne.
Thank you,
you.
everybody.
Good
It was such a
night.
pleasure to
Thank
be.
you very much.
It's one of the most lovely conversations I ever had. I can.
Thank
Thank
you.
Such a
Thank
pleasure.
you
so
all.
much.
Good night.
Good
Thank you.
night.
Good night. Good night.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anne. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.